Hello, good morning. It's Saturday, the 28th of January, and this is me, and I am still a head teacher. I am still a head teacher with ADHD, a mum, um, a friend, an outdoor swimmer, all sorts of other things. Um, it feels like it's been an incredibly long week, and I am tired, and I've worked hard this week, and it's been a kind of normal week, I suppose, at school with its ups and downs and staff off and having to juggle. But increasingly, I know that that is the job of a head teacher. And actually, as I've said before, I think it's on the whole a job that I'm suited to because I am, on the whole, my brain is quite good at doing that kind of juggling and that. But then the flip side is that when I'm tired, it's a lot harder. And my anxiety has been huge because the anxiety is what if one of the balls drops and I make a mistake or I forget something or don't notice something that needed covering and whatever. Anyway, but that's not really what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is, and I don't know if this will be helpful to anybody at all, but I had a kind of a therapy session a week ago, and it kind of just made a lot of sense. And whether it's made sense because of my childhood experiences, where I suffered an episode of abuse, or whether it makes sense because of my ADHD, I'm not sure, but I'm just going to kind of say what it was. And I think um, the tiredness and the burnout and the constantly going and just never being able to stop and it never being enough, I think it makes a lot of sense. So anyway, I was talking about kind of this idea that I never really feel relaxed or grounded, and that there's always this sense of just not being in my body. And I know the body keeps the score, and all the trauma work done by Bruce Perry and Gabor Mate talks about this, and it talks about how we need to do all of these things. But I do them all. I do the yoga, I do the swimming, I do the running, I do all of that. And then I just remembered something, and I've talked about this before, but for some reason it made more sense. So when I was very young, maybe 6, 7, 8, and my grandma, who I just adored, um, she used to go to jumble sales all the time and charity shops. She got me this thing, and it was like a cat, and it had a sort of body that was triangular, and I think it was sort of, I don't know what it was made of, and it was covered in some sort of fake fur, and then it had this spring, and then this head that was sort of this kind of that shape, a kind of a semicircle sitting on top, and then so the head would move. So it was like one of those kind of nodding dog things, but it wasn't. It was weird, and I don't know if I'd ever find another one. And I think probably, even though it wasn't okay, that in those days the fur on it probably was some sort of real fur. Um, Maybe it wasn't, but it was just the softest thing ever. And I just loved this thing, and because it had come from my grandma, I just remember thinking, I can feel it now. I can feel the sort of the softness of this thing. And anyway, it got broken, and it ended up in the bin with the head and the body taken apart, and then I got the the head part back, and and it was just remembering that sort of real physical sense of softness and calm, and my grandma had given it to me, and it was special, and it was a lovely thing, and then it got broken, and then it was like that, oh well, here's a bit of it back. And I kind of realized that complete sort of sense of snuggled up, soft, nice, safe calm is what I struggle to find. And even now, I can be sitting on the sofa with the fluffy blanket, or I can be at the spa, but there's that sense of somehow it not feeling comforting. And so I suppose just what I've been trying to do is actually think about that and think about how I can try and get moments in my life where I have that just stop and feel safe and comfortable. And I suppose that sounds really weird, but I don't know, and I'm not in any way saying that just that one episode is what's caused me to feel like that. But the work I'm doing is parts therapy or IFS, internal family systems, and what you do is you kind of just you go into things and you find kind of parts, or and I think so therefore it's not what I think I've been doing therefore is the parts are coming to sort of protect me from not being able to feel that, and what they do is they push me to work, or they push me to rationalize, or they push me to think things through, or find problems, or be intellectual, or and yet because that's missing. But that's really important, that comfort, that being able to feel that comfort is really important. We know that. So it was just a really interesting thing, and I'm not saying I fixed it, because I'm not quite sure where that's gone. But I'm trying to find it and get it back. So things like wearing clothes that are a bit, not actually not this, because it's got a bit of a wool in it, and this is a bit itchy. But like I've got a coat that I just really love because it's soft, or and this sounds ridiculous, but I think it's really helped me to understand kind of the sensory stuff. There, that's it really. So, and again, I think so. Whether that's kind of to do whatever that's to do with, I think ADHD is a lot about that as well. Is that sort of it's almost a sense of your brain, your brain does stuff, but you don't have that lived felt experience of not needing to be busy. Or and the Gabor Mate again talks a lot about the kind of connection between the trauma and the ADHD and whatever it might be, and it's just something, isn't it, about the brain. Um, anyway, there's a lot there, but I don't know. And so for me again as well, and one thing I'm going to finish on is I just keep looking at situations now where I think there are so many of us as adults who haven't really worked out that the things that drive us are often things from our childhood, maybe that we didn't deal with. And of course, that's the whole thing about therapy, isn't it? And Freud and psychotherapy and all of it. But actually, it just makes such sense. And, whatever, for whatever reason, if we didn't feel safe, attached, for whatever reason, and this is not sort of parent blaming or anything like that, because you can feel not attached to a parent who loves you more than anything, and that's nothing to do with them really. But it's okay to say, okay, something somewhere along the process meant that I felt unsafe, but now what I'm doing is acting that out in the world. So I'm blaming other people, or I'm getting angry, or I'm busy all the time, or I'm yeah. So that's the thought for the week. And and Bagpuss as well. Bagpuss is yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because he's a cat, but he's not the same cat. He doesn't have quite that, because that was for my grandma. But he's pretty snuggly and soft. Anyway, there we go. I haven't gone completely mad, by the way. It's just yeah. Anyway, if it makes any sense, I hope it's there we go. It's 8 minutes of your life that you'll never get back. If it does make sense, great. And week to go till the holidays. Hoping very much to find some things that are comforting and lovely, and where I'm not just going through the motions. Yeah, and that's the other thing is, it's all the Facebook pictures, isn't it? Of how lovely my life looks, but actually, underneath there's often this like it's not what it seems. And I think a lot of us do that, but I think sometimes we need to say it. So when you look at my Facebook pictures and you go, oh, I wish I had that life, isn't it beautiful? It's like, okay to know that often there's a lot underneath that's like still doesn't feel quite right. And that's okay, because I can acknowledge it and I'm trying to get to the feeling okay. Okay, there we go. And stay well, stay safe if you've watched. Thank you very much. Thank you so much if you reach out, support. There's some lovely, lovely, lovely people out there, and you're one of them. Okay, stay well, stay safe. Goodbye.